You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk is sponsored by Molecule. Molecule is an air purifier replacing 50-year-old antiquated technology. Imagine if your phone was the same as it was in the 1940s. This is exactly when the technology you are using to clean your air was developed. The last major innovation in air purification was in the 1940s. Molecule introduces a breakthrough science that is finally capable of destroying air pollutants at a molecular level. Results have transformed lifelong allergy and asthma sufferers' lives. One customer even said that she was able to breathe through her nose for the first time in 15 years. Molecule's technology has been personally effective and verified by science, but most importantly, it's been tested by real people. Molecule has already helped allergy and asthma sufferers around the country better cope with their conditions and reduce their symptoms. The perfect solution for pet owners. Because you're listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk, you're able to use a unique promo code, which is Vet Talk, to receive $75 off your first order. Visit molecule.com and at the checkout, enter Vet Talk. You're listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk, and I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Dr. Susan McMillan, owner of Vet2Pet Mobile Veterinarian Service in Burlington, Vermont, about prednisone. Welcome, Susan.
Hey, Polly Requa, how you doing?
Great. So I was at a cocktail party, and a woman who has a yellow lab was talking about her vet has prescribed prednisone as allergy medicine because their dog is so itchy. And I just wanted to bring you on the podcast to discuss this because I was always brought up that prednisone you can only be on for a short amount of time, and then you need to find another solution. So I just wanted to bring you on and just find out what your thoughts are.
Sure. Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And the answer is kind of, yes and no. In the old days, we used prednisone pretty much for everything itchy. That was just, you went and you got prednisone or some other steroid, maybe dexamethasone or something. And since then, not only have we come up with alternatives, but we've also learned that your best bet is to try to take time and figure out what the allergy is and figure out a better way. So right off the top, I will say yes. Sometimes prednisone is a good answer for really certain allergies. And I'll give you kind of an example. I have patients who have what we call seasonal allergies. So every either spring or summer or fall, at some point, they get their thing. It's either bad ears or real itchy or red skin, and it happens literally the same time every year. We don't know exactly what they're allergic to, but it's some pollen or grass, and it lasts 2 or 3 weeks, and then it goes away. So once you've gotten all that history and you've pieced it together, and obviously it takes at least a year to totally come to that conclusion, to know that, yep, it's going to come back. It's going to come back every June. In some cases, then prednisone is the right answer because you're not going to do allergy shots for some grass that comes and blooms 2 weeks out of the year, and you're not going to eliminate it, and you probably don't want the animal on year-round medication. So sometimes that little pulse therapy of a steroid is the answer. It's not great, but it's, most animals tolerate it really well. You do it for 5 days or 2 weeks, then you taper them off and you're done. And that's it. So that's kind of the little, out of the whole pie would be allergies. That's like the little sliver where prednisone might be the most cost-effective, safest way to deal with it.
Okay. Perfect.
And then you have all the other allergies, which, I used to hate dermatology cases because they can be so challenging. But I've learned that they can be pretty rewarding if you can get a client who is willing to just spend some time and talk it through with you. So it's a ton of questions. When does it happen? How often does it happen? What's the dog eating? Did you change the diet? Did this happen last year? Sometimes it means you do a food diary or a calendar of when it happens. And you try to sort out what the allergy is to, and then you deal with it. But there are definitely way safer ways to deal with allergies that are long-term. You don't want an animal on prednisone long-term unless they're already maybe really old and the owners don't have any money and they're really itchy and you just want quality of life and you can't afford anything else.
Okay. Is prednisone inexpensive?
Prednisone is crazy inexpensive.
Okay.
So in that sense, it's ridiculously inexpensive. So it is a go-to, but you just want to do it cautiously and know that in the long run, especially for a younger dog, you're better off either trying to find the source of the allergy or trying to maybe try a different medication that will cost more but will have way fewer side effects. And then just as a little add-on, I suspect that people who practice alternative medicine, like Chinese herbs and stuff like that, they might have something to add to the discussion.
Okay.
And there are also other allergy medications that are over the counter that you can talk to your vet about using. You just have to really be really careful. You can't just make up a dose based on the fact that your dog weighs half of what you do.
Oh, right. Like using Claritin?
Exactly. Because there may very well be a safe dose of a lot of those drugs out there, but, I don't want to experiment on Chuck the Pug while I'm trying to figure out a safe dose. You want your vet to either know the drug or know where to look and find out what a safe dose is and whether or not it's appropriate. So there are other choices, and there are definitely other medications out there besides just steroids these days.
Okay. Yep. And we've done a podcast on different allergy medicines.
Right. Oh, good.
But I just wanted to find out, which I can put in the show notes so people can go back to that. But I just wanted to find out regarding prednisone, since you were always told, the liver's going to shut down after 3 months. Exactly. And yeah. Okay. So, prednisone long-term can lead to all kinds, tons and tons of problems. Even though it's a really remarkable, awesome drug, it just has to be used really carefully. Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast, and I look forward to having you back.
You're welcome. Thanks, Polly.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk is sponsored by Molecule. Molecule is an air purifier replacing 50-year-old antiquated technology. Imagine if your phone was the same as it was in the 1940s. This is exactly when the technology you are using to clean your air was developed. The last major innovation in air purification was in the 1940s. Molecule introduces a breakthrough science that is finally capable of destroying air pollutants at a molecular level. Results have transformed lifelong allergy and asthma sufferers' lives. One customer even said that she was able to breathe through her nose for the first time in 15 years. Molecule's technology has been personally effective and verified by science, but most importantly, it's been tested by real people. Molecule has already helped allergy and asthma sufferers around the country better cope with their conditions and reduce their symptoms. The perfect solution for pet owners. Because you're listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk, you're able to use a unique promo code, which is Vet Talk, To receive $75 off your first order, visit molekule.com and at the checkout, enter Vet Talk.